coming to you from the house today. My uncle had a project that he's been itching to get done. He's got a remote cabin he's been working on and off for the last 20 years, and he puts as much time as he can out there. But between kids that he raised and being so remote, really hard to put any time in out there. So this is the year he asked me. He said, "Hey, can you come in, give us a hand, putting up some decks?" And I said, "Sure, I'll jump in, grab a couple of guys that I know, and so that's what we did." You can either boat in the summertime or you can go by snow machine in the winter, and it's 20 miles one way on a snowmobile. So obviously getting materials there is a challenge in itself. And had a goal of putting some decks up, and we got it done. So the crew we took in there was my buddy Ross and Micah, and then we had my Uncle Bill and Al, and then Rosie. It was just a matter of gonna go in and knock these decks out. Now these aren't just any old decks. They're like, when he says decks, he's like, yeah, he wants 12 by 28 on one side and a 12 by 28 on the other side of the cabin. And then he wants one that's fully connected on the front. That's a 12 by, wound up being a 46-foot deck.
Yeah, so you were on vacation last week.
Yeah.
He had a private chef.
Yeah, Rose is a pretty good cook,
Yeah. So, no, I'm just, all kidding aside, it is a lot of work, but both of us really enjoy going and doing remote projects. And I was able to break away for just one day and run up there with the kids and hang out for a couple hours. I had want to see the enditis so bad. Like, I just couldn't leave the project because things were happening so fast, and I didn't want to leave until it was done. So I was very envious is the reason I was.
Oh, envious is what it is, huh?
Ran all these joists long and snapped the line, and now we're just cutting them off, make this deck look nice and straight. So we got our layout done, putting these hangers on real quick. These are going to hold our joists on the ledger board. Yeah, so we got the generator going. Power bar compressor, all our tools, and this little Pico nailer saves a lot of time and fingertips. A deck that's going to fold up later, and you'll be able to put these decks up against the windows, then bolt them off, reintegrate a little bit of bear protection into the decks.
Everybody has their own different ways of, batten down the hatches, I guess. They have hinges, so they fold up over the windows and doors, and then they leave a big hole so a bear can't get in there and tear it up. When you have a remote cabin in Alaska, the one thing you do want to do is make sure that when you come back, the place isn't torn to shreds. We had a concept of how they were going to go, but actually, cutting the boards and piecing it all together and making to where it's going to work. It took a little bit of figuring out.
I actually thought it was a really cool idea. We on our cabin just have plywood screwed over the windows, but there's a lot of different ideas. Like you could have something that slid over the windows, or something that folded up, or even metal rails. There's a lot of different options, but this is the first time I've seen bear hatches.
Yeah, You'd be amazed at what kind of crazy things people have on their cabins to keep bears out. I've seen plywood with nails in it, so if something steps on it.
Bear fences,
bear
alarms.
fences, you name it. But I mean, you got to do what you got to do because bears love to eat things that smell good. So on the ground level where the deck goes around the cabin, there was 4 of these hatches that we put in.
Tomorrow we'll get the deck boards on. There's Al. Always got a smile on his face. There's Ross. There's Micah. There's Uncle Bill.
I'm glad to see that that project starting to take life again. It's kind of funny because I hauled all the logs in there when I was 18 or 19, and that was 20 some years ago. And then a couple years later, I helped my uncle pour the concrete for the footers in there, and so I don't know. There's a lot of
you got one to see the enditis.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy. You
is.
go back there and you don't think where 20 years went, but
That's
man,
what's
it's
bothering you. You want to
it's
see
gone.
it done.
Well, the other thing that Al wanted also in his deck was he wanted these boards to be run at 45. So, that was pretty straightforward. It's just getting started on getting the layout right. So we started from the front of the cabin on the front deck, and then we ran everything at a 45 out. And when it came to the 2 side decks, we just ran right down those at a 45. So, it was just a matter of getting started, and they all came out really nice. And the other thing, too, is the cabin itself is definitely ledger boards are a little bit off, or, it wasn't perfectly square. So it was kind of nice because then you could just run the 45s long or short, whichever way you're going, and then kind of you can cover up those mistakes, obviously. And then at the end, we wound up snapping a line and cutting all the tails off and made a nice straight line for the finished deck. And that way you can have a real nice finished border all the way around the deck.
Now it's all nice and straight. A little bit of snow sliding off the roof. See that we're going to go ahead and attach this 2x6 on the end. We're done, so we're gonna wrap it up and come back in May. Thumbs up.
Al wanted 2 phases of this project, and one was to go in there and build decks on 3 sides of his cabin, and that way we would have a surface where we could build scaffolding off of, and then after that, then we go in and put the roof on the cabin and get it dried in. In the interior of Alaska, when spring hits hard. We always joke around, we have a winter and a summer, and spring and fall are just little blurps in between. But and what I mean by that is spring comes and it's gone in 3 weeks. So if you need to get something done in the middle of nowhere, you kind of have to plan it to where you're not going to get stuck there when the water goes out, or before, and it might be 30 below. So it's kind of like a little window you're trying to hit. When we showed up the first day, there was about 4 feet of snow on the ground, and so it was like still kind of winter but getting warm out. And then day 2, I think we had 52 above, and so things were melting like crazy. As we were leaving, there was about a foot of water that was coming down river. It was kind of overflowing on top of the river itself. And now I just talked to my uncle. He just went back in there yesterday, and he said that there's a foot of water sitting right where our tents were. So we hit it just right and getting phase 1 of the project done. Al and Rose are real happy with the decks.
I was really happy to see the decks on the 3 sides, because now they'll be able to just build scaffolding up on the sides of the roof and then just be able to work right off that on the roof. And it's a nice even surface to work off of. Be a lot safer and easier to work, and it'll make things a lot more efficient too. So, but next time I get to go too.
Who said you're invited?
Who said I'm going to stay home and take care of your children?
I was taking the kids.
Oh, okay. Well, it's impassable ice snow machine now, so we have to wait till the ice comes out to get a boat up there and be able to work again. So we got a little chunk of time to get back in on the house, and we're really hoping to get the drywall hung and then mudded and taped and the heated floor in and start working on the actual final floor finish and cabinetry here in the next few weeks.
I'm trying to get into this place before the end of summer.
All right, so we better get back to work, and thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bill, I don't think this is camera talk.
Half thumb.
Bill's got a half a thumb.
Hoorah!
You got one of them fancy bits that hooks into this drill?
That's not any good.
Here, I'll go over here. Yeah, lots of work.
Is there anything unique about this one?